Scripture portions of the day. Day 318.
Matthew 2:1. Now when Yeshua was born in Bethlehem of Judea, in the days of Herod the king, the Magi came from the east to Jerusalem. 2. And they were saying, Where is the king of the Judeans who has been born? For we have seen his star in the east and we have come to worship him. 3. But Herod the king heard and he was troubled and all Jerusalem with him. 4. And he gathered the chief priests and the scribes of the people together and was asking them, Where would the Messiah be born? 5. And they said, In Bethlehem of Judea, for thus it is written in the prophets. 6. You, Bethlehem of Judea, were not the least among the kings of Judea, for from you shall proceed the king who shall shepherd my people Israel. 7. And then Herod secretly called the Magi and learned from them at what time the star had appeared to them. 8. And he sent them to Bethlehem and said to them, Go inquire about the boy very carefully, and when you find him, come show me, so that I also may go worship him. 9. But when they heard from the king, they went, and behold, that star which they had seen in the east went before them, until it came and stood over where the boy was. 10. And when they saw the star, they rejoiced with a very great joy. 11. And they entered the house and saw the boy with Miriam his mother, and they fell and worshipped him and opened their treasures and offered him gifts. Gold, myrrh, and frankincense. 12. And it was seen by them in a dream that they should not return to Herod, and they went to their country by another road. 13. And as they went, the angel of ELOHEEM YEHOVAH appeared in a dream to Joseph, and said to him, Arise, take the boy and his mother, and flee to Egypt and stay there, until I speak to you, for Herod is going to seek the boy to destroy him. 14. So Joseph arose, took the boy and his mother in the night, and fled to Egypt. 15. And he was there until the death of Herod, that the thing might be fulfilled that was spoken from ELOHEEM YEHOVAH through the prophet which says, From Egypt I have called my son. 16. And Herod, when he saw that he was mocked by the Magi, was greatly enraged, and he sent and killed all the boys of Bethlehem and of all of its borders, from 2 years old and under, according to the time that he had searched out from the Magi. 17. Then the thing was fulfilled which was spoken by Jeremiah the prophet which says. 18. In Ramtha a voice was heard, weeping and great lamentation, Rachel weeping over her children, and she is unwilling to be comforted, because they are not. 19. But when Herod the king died, the angel of ELOHEEM YEHOVAH appeared in a dream to Joseph in Egypt. 20. And he said to him, Arise, take the boy and his mother, and go to the land of Israel, for those who were seeking the boy's life have died. 21. And Joseph arose, took the boy and his mother, and came to the land of Israel. 22. But when he heard that Archelaus was the king in Judea, in the place of Herod his father, he was afraid to go there, and it appeared to him in a dream that he should go to the region of Galilee. 23. And he came to dwell in a city that is called Nazareth, so that the thing would be fulfilled which was spoken by the prophet, he shall be called the Nazarene. Deuteronomy 22:1. When thou seest the calf of thy brother or his sheep wandering in the way, thou shalt not overlook them, thou shalt by all means turn them back to thy brother, and thou shalt restore them to him. 2. And if thy brother do not come nigh thee, and thou dost not know him, thou shalt bring it into thy house within, and it shall be with thee until thy brother shall seek them, and thou shalt restore them to him. 3. Thus shalt thou do to his ass, and thus shalt thou do to his garment, and thus shalt thou do to everything that thy brother has lost, whatsoever shall have been lost by him, and thou shalt have found, thou shalt not have power to overlook. 4. Thou shalt not see the ass of thy brother, or his calf, fallen in the way. Thou shalt not overlook them, thou shalt surely help him to raise them up. 5. The apparel of a man shall not be on a woman, neither shall a man put on a woman's dress, for every one that does these things is an abomination to Jehovah thy Elohim. 6. And if thou shouldest come upon a brood of birds before thy face in the way or upon any tree, or upon the earth, young or eggs, and the mother be brooding on the young or the eggs, thou shalt not take the dam with the young ones. 7. Thou shalt by all means let the mother go, but thou shalt take the young to thyself, that it may be well with thee, and that thou mayest live long. 8. If thou shouldest build a new house, then shalt thou make a parapet to thy house, so thou shalt not bring blood guiltiness upon thy house, if one should in any wise fall from it. 9. Thou shalt not sow thy vineyard with diverse seed, lest the fruit be devoted, and whatsoever seed thou mayest sow, with the fruit of thy vineyard. 10. Thou shalt not plow with an ox and an ass together. 11. Thou shalt not wear a mingled garment, woolen and linen together. 12. Thou shalt make fringes on the four borders of thy garments, with whichsoever thou mayest be clothed. 13. And if any one should take a wife, and dwell with her, and hate her, 14. And attach to her reproachful words, and bring against her an evil name, and say, I took this woman, and when I came to her I found not her tokens of virginity. 15. Then the father and the mother of the damsel shall take and bring out the damsel's tokens of virginity to the elders of the city to the gate. 16. And the father of the damsel shall say to the elders, I gave this my daughter to this man for a wife. 17. And now he has hated her, and attaches reproachful words to her, saying, I have not found tokens of virginity with thy daughter, and these are the tokens of my daughter's virginity. And they shall unfold the garment before the elders of the city. 18. And the elders of that city shall take that man, and shall chastise him. 19. And shall fine him 100 shekels, and shall give them to the father of the damsel, because he has brought forth an evil name against a virgin of Israel, and she shall be his wife. He shall never be able to put her away. 20. But if this report be true, and the tokens of virginity be not found for the damsel, 21. Then shall they bring out the damsel to the doors of her father's house, and shall stone her with stones, and she shall die, because she has wrought folly among the children of Israel, to defile the house of her father by whoring. So thou shalt remove the evil one from among you. 22. And if a man be found lying with a woman married to a man, ye shall kill them both, the man that lay with the woman, and the woman. So shalt thou remove the wicked one out of Israel. 23. And if there be a young damsel espoused to a man, and a man should have found her in the city and have lain with her, 24. Ye shall bring them both out to the gate of their city, and they shall be stoned with stones, and they shall die, the damsel, because she cried not in the city, and the man, because he humbled his neighbor's spouse. So shalt thou remove the evil one from yourselves. 25. But if a man find in the field a damsel that is betrothed, and he should force her and lie with her, ye shall slay the man that lay with her only. 26. And the damsel has not committed a sin worthy of death, as if a man should rise up against his neighbor and slay him, so is this thing. 27. Because he found her in the field, the betrothed damsel cried, and there was none to help her. 28. And if any one should find a young virgin who has not been betrothed, and should force her and lie with her, and be found, 29. The man who lay with her shall give to the father of the damsel 50 silver didrachms, and she shall be his wife, because he has humbled her, he shall never be able to put her away. 30. A man shall not take his father's wife, and shall not uncover his father's skirt. Daniel 7. 1. In the first year of Belteshazzar, king of the Chaldeans, Daniel had a dream, and visions of his head upon his bed. And he wrote his dream. 2. I Daniel beheld, and, lo, the four winds of heaven blew violently upon the great sea. 3. And there came up four great beasts out of the sea, differing from one another. 4. The first was as a lioness, and her wings as an eagle's. I beheld until her wings were plucked, and she was lifted off from the earth, and she stood on human feet, and a man's heart was given to her. 5. And, behold, a second beast like a bear, and it supported itself on one side, and there were 3 ribs in its mouth, between its teeth. And thus they said to it, Arise, devour much flesh. 6. After this one I looked, and behold another wild beast as a leopard, and it had 4 wings of a bird upon it. And the wild beast had 4 heads, and power was given to it. 7. After this one I looked, and behold a fourth beast, dreadful and terrible, and exceedingly strong, and its teeth were of iron, devouring and crushing to atoms, and it trampled the remainder with its feet. And it was altogether different from the beasts that were before it, and it had 10 hours. 8. I noticed his horns, and behold, another little horn came up in the midst of them, and before it 3 of the former horns were rooted out. And, behold, there were eyes as the eyes of a man in this horn, and a mouth speaking great things. 9. I beheld until the thrones were set, and the Ancient of Days sat, and his raiment was white as snow, and the hair of his head as pure wool. His throne was a flame of fire and his wheels burning fire. 10. A stream of fire rushed forth before him. Thousands ministered to him, and 10,000s of myriads attended upon him. The judgment sat, and the books were opened. 11. I beheld then, because of the voice of the great words which that horn spoke, until the wild beast was slain and destroyed, and his body given to be burnt with fire. 12. And the dominion of the rest of the wild beasts was taken away, but a prolonging of life was given them for certain times. 13. I beheld in the night vision, and, lo, one coming with the clouds of heaven as the Son of Man, and he came unto the Ancient of Days, and was brought near to him. 14. And to him was given the dominion, and the honor, and the kingdom, and all nations, tribes, and languages shall serve him. His dominion is an everlasting dominion, which shall not pass away, and his kingdom shall not be destroyed. 15. As for me Daniel, my spirit and my body trembled, and the visions of my head troubled me. 16. And I drew near to one of them that stood by, and I sought to learn of him the truth of all these things. And he told me the truth, and made known to me the interpretation of the things. 17. These 4 beasts are 4 kingdoms that shall rise up on the earth. 18. Which shall be taken away, and the saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom, and possess it forever and ever. 19. Then I inquired carefully concerning the 4th beast, for it differed from every other beast, exceeding dreadful. Its teeth were of iron, and its claws of brass, devouring, and utterly breaking to pieces, and it trampled the remainder with its feet. 20. And concerning it 10 horns that were in its head, and the other that came up, and rooted up some of the former, which had eyes, and a mouth speaking great things, and his look was bolder than the rest. 21. I beheld, and that horn made war with the saints, and prevailed against them. 22. Until the Ancient of Days came, and he gave judgment to the saints of the Most High, and the time came on, and the saints possessed the kingdom. 23. And he said, the 4th beast shall be the 4th kingdom on the earth, which shall excel all other kingdoms, and shall devour the whole earth, and trample and destroy it. 24. And his 10 horns are 10 kings that shall arise. And after them shall arise another, who shall exceed all the former ones in wickedness, and he shall subdue 3 kings. 25. And he shall speak words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and shall think to change times and law. And power shall be given into his hand for a time and times and half a time. 26. And the judgment has sat, and they shall remove his dominion to abolish it, and to destroy it utterly. 27. And the kingdom and the power and the greatness of the kings that are under the whole heaven were given to the saints of the Most High, and his kingdom is an everlasting kingdom, and all powers shall serve and obey him. 28. Hitherto is the end of the matter. As for me Daniel, my thoughts greatly troubled me, and my countenance was changed. But I kept the matter in my heart. Daniel 8. 1. In the 3rd year of the reign of King Baltasar a vision appeared to me, even to me Daniel, after that which appeared to me at the first. 2. And I was in Susa the palace, which is in the land of Elam, and I was on the bank of Ubal. 3. And I lifted up mine eyes, and saw, and, behold, a ram standing in front of the Ubal, and he had high horns, and one was higher than the other, and the high one came up last. 4. And I saw the ram budding westward, and northward, and southward, and no beast could stand before him, and there was none that could deliver out of his hand, and he did according to his will, and became great. 5. And I was considering, and, behold, a he-goat came from the southwest on the face of the whole earth, and touched not the earth. And the goat had a horn between his eyes. 6. And he came to the ram that had the horns, which I had seen standing in front of the Ubal, and he ran at him with the violence of his strength. 7. And I saw him coming up close to the ram, and he was furiously enraged against him, and he smote the ram, and broke both his horns. And there was no strength in the ram to stand before him, but he cast him on the ground, and trampled on him, and there was none that could deliver the ram out of his hand. 8. And the he-goat grew exceedingly great. And when he was strong, his great horn was broken, and 4 other horns rose up in its place toward the 4 winds of heaven. 9. And out of one of them came forth one strong horn, and it grew very great toward the south, and toward the host. 10. And it magnified itself to the host of heaven, and there fell to the earth some of the host of heaven and of the stars, and they trampled on them. 11. And this shall be until the chief captain shall have delivered the captivity. And by reason of him the sacrifice was disturbed, and he prospered, and the holy place shall be made desolate. 12. And a sin offering was given for the sacrifice, and righteousness was cast down to the ground, and it practiced, and prospered. 13. And I heard one saint speaking, and a saint said to a certain one speaking, How long shall the vision continue, even the removal of the sacrifice, and the bringing in of the sin of desolation? And how long shall the sanctuary and host be trampled? 14. And he said to him, Evening and morning there shall be 2,400 days, and then the sanctuary shall be cleansed. 15. And it came to pass, as even I Daniel, saw the vision, and sought to understand it, that, behold, there stood before me as the appearance of a man. 16. And I heard the voice of a man between the banks of the Jubal, and he called and said, Gabriel, cause that man to understand the vision. 17. And he came and stood near where I stood. And when he came, I was struck with awe and fell upon my face. But he said to me, Understand, son of man. For yet the vision is for an appointed time. 18. And while he spoke with me, I fell upon my face to the earth. And he touched me and set me on my feet. 19. And he said, Behold, I make thee know the things that shall come to pass at the end of the wrath. For the vision is yet for an appointed time. 20. The ram which thou sawest that had the horns is the king of the Medes and Persians. 21. The he-goat is the king of the Greeks. And the great horn which was between his eyes, he is the first king. 22. And as for the one that was broken, in whose place there stood up 4 horns, 4 kings shall arise out of his nation, but not in their own strength. 23. And at the latter time of their kingdom, when their sins are coming to the full, there shall arise a king bold in countenance, and understanding riddles. 24. And his power shall be great, and he shall destroy wonderfully, and prosper, and practice, and shall destroy mighty men, and the holy people. 25. And the yoke of his chain shall prosper. There is craft in his hand, and he shall magnify himself in his heart, and by craft shall destroy many, and he shall stand up for the destruction of many, and shall crush them as eggs in his hand. 26. And the vision of the evening and morning that was mentioned is true. And do thou seal the vision, for it is for many days. 27. And I Daniel fell asleep, and was sick. Then I arose, and did the king's business, and I wondered at the vision, and there was none that understood it.
Proverbs 17, Septuagint. Better is a morsel with pleasure and peace, than a house full of many good things, and unjust sacrifices with strife. A wise servant shall rule over foolish masters, and shall divide portions amongst brethren. As silver and gold are tried in the furnace, so are choice hearts with Jehovah. A bad man hearkens to the tongue of transgressors, but the righteous man attends not to false lips. He that laughs at the poor provokes him that made him, and he that rejoices at the destruction of another shall be held guiltless. But he that has compassion shall find mercy. Children's children are the crown of old men, and their fathers are the glory of children. The faithful has the whole world full of wealth, but the faithless not even a farthing. Faithful lips will not suit a fool, nor lying lips a just man. Instructions is to them that use it a gracious reward, and whithersoever it may turn, it shall prosper. He that conceals injury seeks love, but he that hates to hide separates friends and kindred. A threat breaks down the heart of the wise man, but a fool through scourge understands not. Every bad man stirs up strife, but Jehovah will send out against him an unmerciful messenger. Care may befall a man of understanding, but fools will meditate. Whoso rewards evil for good, evil shall not be removed from his house. Rightful rule gives power to words, but sedition and strife precedes poverty. He that pronounces the unjust just, and the just unjust, is unclean and abominable with Elo-heem. Why has the fool wealth? For the senseless man will not be able to purchase wisdom. He that exalts his own house seeks ruin, and he that turns aside from instruction shall fall into mischief. Have thou a friend for every time. Let brethren be useful in distress, and for on this account they are. A foolish man applauds and rejoices over himself, as he also that becomes surety would make himself responsible for his own friends. A lover of sin rejoices and strives, and the hard-hearted man comes not in for good. A man of a changeful tongue will fall into mischief, and the heart of a fool is grief to its possessor. A father rejoices not over an uninstructed son, but a wise son gladdens his mother. A glad heart promotes health, but the bones of a sorrowful man dry up. The ways of man who unjustly receives gifts in his bosom do not prosper, and an ungodly man perverts the ways of righteousness. The countenance of wise men is sensible, but the eyes of a fool goes to the ends of the earth. A foolish son is the cause of anger to his father, and grief to her that bore him. It is not right to punish a righteous man, nor is it holy to plot against righteous princes. He that forbears to utter hard word is discreet, and a patient man is wise. Wisdom shall be imputed to the fool who asks after wisdom, and he who holds his peace shall seem to be sensible.
Proverbs 18:1. A man who wishes to separate from friends seeks excuses, but at all times he will be liable to reproach. 2. A senseless man feels no need of wisdom, for he is rather led by folly. 3. When an ungodly man comes into a depth of evils, he despises them, but dishonor and reproach come upon him. 4. A word in the heart of a man is a deep water, and a river and fountain of life spring forth. 5. It is not good to accept the person of the ungodly, nor is it holy to pervert justice in judgment. 6. The lips of a fool bring him into troubles, and his bold mouth calls for death. 7. A fool's mouth is ruin to him, and his lips are a snare to his soul. 8. Fear casts down the slothful, and the souls of the effeminate shall hunger. 9. A man who helps not himself by his labor is brother of him that ruins himself. 10. The name of YEHOVAH is of great strength, and the righteous running to it are exalted. 11. The wealth of a rich man is a strong city, and its glory casts a broad shadow. 12. Before ruin a man's heart is exalted, and before honor it is humble. 13. Woso answers a word before he hears a cause, it is folly and reproach to him. 14. A wise servant calms a man's anger, but who can endure a faint-hearted man? 15. The heart of the sensible man purchases discretion, and the ears of the wise seek understanding. 16. A man's gift enlarges him, and seats him among princes. 17. A righteous man accuses himself at the beginning of his speech, but when he has entered upon the attack, the adversary is reproved. 18. A silent man quells strifes, and determines between great powers. 19. A brother helped by a brother is as a strong and high city, and is as strong as a well-founded palace. 20. A man fills his belly with the fruits of his mouth, and he shall be satisfied with the fruits of his lips. 21. Life and death are in the power of the tongue, and they that rule it shall eat the fruits thereof. 22. He that has found a good wife has found favors, and has received gladness from ELOHEEM. He that puts away a good wife, puts away a good thing, and he that keeps an adulteress is foolish and ungodly.